What's going on, guys? Rob from Heroes Avenue, here to review Spider-Man Homecoming with you. Now, we are going to get into a little bit of spoilers in this review, so if you have not seen it yet, please click off and come back to this once you have seen it. Alright, with that warning, let's go ahead and get right into it. So this movie kicks off right after the events of Captain America's Civil War, and the beginning of the movie we get a montage of Peter in what feels like a behind the scenes of being an Avenger. I think something you'll notice right off the bat is that Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, as compared to the two previous versions of Spider-Man, actually looks and feels like a teenager in his dialogue, his mannerisms, and his struggles in the movie. Throughout the movie, Peter captures what it feels like, or what it would feel like, to be a superhero in high school, and it was super fun to watch. Of course, in his escapades and in his relentless efforts to impress his mentor Tony Stark, Peter ultimately interferes with Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture's criminal operations. This is all happening while Peter's juggling high school life, his best friend learning that he's Spider-Man, his Aunt May worrying about him, and the looming homecoming high school dance. First of all, Spider-Man himself, Tom Holland, like I said earlier, he was able to capture what it feels like to be a teenager, and I loved how this was a coming-of-age story, and he's still a teenager himself, so Spider-Man in the movie is 15 years old, so he's not actually of age yet, but it did feel like a classic coming-of-age story where Peter learns what it means to have these powers, the responsibility that is on his shoulders when it comes to having these powers. But at the same time, we were able to see Peter, and this version of Spider-Man, really have fun with his powers. He was really able to let loose. And if we had these powers in high school, we'd be doing a crap ton of stuff that we probably would regret later on. The suit itself, it was a great looking suit. It had all these mechanics that Spider-Man previously has not been able to use in previous movies, and obviously Kevin Feige and the creators at Marvel Studios, they wanted to create something different with this Spider-Man movie, and I think they definitely achieved that. With this suit, Spider-Man gets kind of his own AI operating system, similar to what Tony Stark has in Jarvis, and it was really fun to watch. It was cool to see Peter's banter with the AI system and him discovering all these new gadgets that he had previously not been able to use. So that, in that regard, this was a really unique take on Spider-Man's suit as compared to the previous movies. So I think they really did their job in creating something different with this Peter Parker as a teen and the Spider-Man suit itself. Again, this movie captured the spirit of high school really well, while balancing the fact that he is actually a superhero. Everything is in the details, guys. You get things like the physical fitness requirement national test that they had to go through in the movie, and it was super funny because Captain America obviously plays a part in that, in those little training videos that you have to watch right before taking a test, or if you're in detention. That was really awesome, because if you guys had the same experience as me in high school, you definitely had to go through those things. Even in the little details of the movie where Captain America says in the training video, "My friend right here, he's going to take you guys through a test," and then he's supposed to be referring to the PE teacher, but the PE teacher's actually on the other side of the TV. Just little details like that was so awesome, because it really captured how it must have felt for the teacher's perspective in high school, as well as the students who really don't care about what's going on. It really helps that they actually got young actors for these roles, because it made everything believable. The banter between the actors was great. I think what I really enjoyed is the cringeworthy moments, because we all had those cringeworthy moments in high school where we wish we could have done things differently, or things didn't play out as smooth as we had liked, and there's definitely a lot of that in this movie, especially in things like the scenes where the scene where Peter asks Lily Allen to go with him to the homecoming dance. I remember going through that exact same thing when I asked a girl to the dance before. It played out exactly like how it did in the movie. It was so awkward, and they really captured that in this movie. As far as the supporting cast was awesome. We had Ned Leeds, who added a lot of heart to this story, and his relationship with Peter felt genuine. We didn't really get any background into Ned Leeds himself, but I didn't think we need that. Their dialogue and everything, and their interactions in the movie made it feel like that you knew these guys were best friends for a long time. Of course, we had Zendaya as Michelle, who is later to refer to as MJ, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But of course, Michelle, I liked how she was used in this movie. I thought, honestly, because Zendaya, however you pronounce her name, she was previously in other shows and she was really popular. I thought she was going to be a super big part of this movie as far as being put into every scene that she could, but I think they used her really well, and I think the way that she just popped into scenes kind of randomly kind of fit her character really well, and some people might be annoyed with that, but I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of refreshing. We also have Marissa Tomei, great actor, beautiful actor, and the jokes that they had with her in the movie were awesome, and of course there's a big reveal later on that we'll also get to in a little bit. Flash Thompson, of course, he was depicted a little bit differently than the previous Flashes in the movie, but I thought it was cool. Again, they were trying to go really different with this movie. Again, it does feel like that guy in high school, I know I had them, where you guys kind of made fun of each other a lot. In the end, you interact with each other, you associated with each other, even though you guys have this kind of rivalry going on. So I thought that was really fun, especially in the party scene where he's actually a DJ, and it feels like everyone's a DJ these days, so I thought that was really fun to play with over there. And of course, Iron Man. Iron Man, a lot of the trailers, it felt like they were going to plug him into every scene, and of course, everyone thought it might be Iron Man taking over the Spider-Man movie, but it definitely wasn't. His presence was felt throughout the movie because Peter looked up to him so much. His presence was felt throughout the movie, but I thought they used him perfectly. I loved the scenes that he was in. Of course, you get that classic Tony Stark banter and his wittiness in there. So it was really fun to see Tony Stark. I thought he was used really perfectly. And then how could I forget Happy Hogan? Happy Hogan it was good to see Jon Favreau back in the MCU. He was totally a good counterpart to Peter's quips, his teenage quips and antics. Hoping we see more of him in the future. Alright, now let's talk about Michael Keaton. Of course, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has struggled to create really, really memorable and captivating villains. Of course, we got people like Loki, who's a really great villain. And just recently, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 introduced Ego the Living Planet to us in Kurt Russell. And he became my favorite Marvel villain at the time. But after seeing this, after seeing Michael Keaton's performance as the Vulture, I gotta say, hands down, my favorite villain has definitely become Michael Keaton's portrayal of the Vulture. Obviously, the Vulture is one of Spider-Man's oldest and most formidable villains, but he's not usually mentioned along one of most people's favorite villains. Of course, Michael Keaton is an extraordinary actor. We've seen him in superhero movies before. It felt like his role in Birdman was kind of an audition for this movie, even though it wasn't. That movie was awesome itself. What I loved about Michael Keaton's role is that you really believed why he became this villain, and he almost became this gangster, this mafia leader, where he was originally one of these guys who despised some of the higher-ups or the superheroes because of the fact that he's cleaning up after their mess. And of course he's doing this in a legit way with his own business, but then that business gets ripped away from him and he can't take care of his family anymore, and then you just see his breaking point. You see him become the Vulture. You really felt that this man will do whatever it takes to protect his family. Not only protect his family, but to give them the things that he thinks they deserve. And of course, like all great villains, he will do what it takes, but he also has a moral code, as you see later on in the movie, and that moral code ultimately becomes his downfall, I think. Michael Keaton, can't say enough about him. He was the best part of this movie to me. But let's not forget, the Shocker was also in this movie. I loved how they used the Shocker in this movie because I thought they did not shortchange him at all. He's kind of like a smaller villain, a smaller Spider-Man villain, you could say. But he was not shortchanged at all. He got a lot of screen time. He was actually super powerful. The kind of crime team of the Vulture and the Shocker together was pretty awesome to see. I also loved this movie because it put Spider-Man in different scenarios that we weren't able to see in the past. We've never seen, what happens when Spider-Man doesn't have things to shoot his webs at. And then, of course, we get this little funny scene where Spider-Man has to run through the park and he's actually chasing the car because in his neighborhood, there's not a lot of buildings to swing off of. So those little things about this movie was really awesome. We even saw Spider-Man in the air on an airplane. I think there were a lot of nods to classic Spider-Man moments hidden throughout this movie. This movie felt really grounded. It felt like the city of New York played a big part in this movie, whereas it normally feels just like a backdrop. We actually see Spider-Man in the neighborhood, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Even though Spider-Man is such a big character for Marvel, this movie really felt grounded and small and like an intimate story, which was really refreshing in my opinion. There's a lot of things I loved about this movie, and I'm probably missing out on some things, so I had a little one night to stir over what I really loved about it. Those are the things that popped out in my mind right away. Let's talk about some things that might be a little controversial. So obviously, there's no Uncle Ben in this movie, and this movie almost felt like it worked really hard not to mention Uncle Ben. You get a little reference in there when Spider-Man or Peter talks about what happened to Aunt May, but he never says Uncle Ben at all in this movie. And some people, or a lot of people, are going to like that fact because we got that story twice in 2 of the previous Spider-Man movies. But going forward, if we're going to dig deeper into Peter's character, I think that that's something that they might have to mention at the least in a future movie. I was actually happy they didn't do that whole story here because we actually have seen it played out twice already. But I think if they can introduce that or dig into it just a little bit in a different way going into the next movie, if they can dig into that just a little bit, it'll really give us a deeper picture into Peter as a person, and I think would be pretty good going forward. Next up, we get the kind of a reveal that Michelle, Zendaya's character, is referred to as MJ. My friends call me MJ. If her name is going to be Michelle going forward, a lot of people are going to be wondering, are they going to actually put Mary Jane in this movie, or is Michelle going to be the MJ or Mary Jane of this universe? It's going to be a controversial topic because, of course, everyone knows that Peter Parker's main love interest is Mary Jane. I know he's had several others in the comics, but I'm wondering if this is going to confuse audiences in the future. They're kind of giving Mary Jane's part to Michelle is what I'm thinking. We'll see what they do going forward. I'm not really sure. You guys can let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about that? And also, I'm wondering how much room Sony actually has to operate in this universe, because we know Venom is coming out and we know Carnage is going to be the villain. They're planning that other movie with Black Cat and Silver Sable. So the reason why I'm wondering this is because it looks like this movie, this version of Peter Parker, is building up to a battle with a potential Sinister Six. So I'm wondering how, obviously we're all pretty confused about the comments with Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal. They confused a ton of fans a couple weeks ago when they put out that interview and Amy Pascal kind of just rambled off. So I'm wondering how much Sony's going to be able to play around in this universe. Are they going to eventually intersect? Probably. I'm thinking not, even if they're in the same reality. I don't even know what that means. So I'm wondering about the future of the Sony universe that they're building. I'm not worried about the Marvel movies. So guys, that's going to end my review. Let me know in the comments below what you loved about this movie and maybe things you didn't like so much. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more videos and like the video if you enjoyed it. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace.